The 2020 Ohio High School football regular season has ended. However, we still have to decide who will be the First Star Logistics offensive and defensive players of the week for Week 6, and which player will receive the most overall votes to become First Star Logistics Player of the Week. Who made our list of players for you to vote on for Week 6? We'll find out when we return. We want to thank First Star Logistics for their continued support of First Star Football Report. If you're looking for a new career, check out First Star Logistics as they are hiring. Dave Burke, First Star Football Report. We made it. 6 weeks of high school football in this strange environment we're all living in with COVID-19. All season, we've seen some outstanding individual performances that helped teams win games this season. Before we get to the playoffs, though, we have one more week of voting for our players of the week for the regular season. Before we start, do us a favor and please hit the subscribe button to help us continue to grow our channel, and make sure to visit firststarfootballreport.com to vote for the player you feel should be offensive and defensive players of the week. Here are the players up for your consideration for First Star Logistics Offensive Player of the Week. Jackson Gifford, fullback Ross. The senior running back had 22 carries for 211 yards and 3 touchdowns and a 48-21 win over Mount Healthy. Jackson Kuhn, quarterback Anderson. The senior quarterback went 13 of 19 for 168 yards and 2 touchdowns, with another 157 yards rushing and 3 scores and a 42-13 win over Milford. Will Coker, quarterback, Kings. The sophomore quarterback was 8 of 13 for 209 yards and 3 touchdowns, while adding 41 yards rushing and 2 scores in a 63-32 blowout win over Loveland. Tayshawn Smoot, quarterback, Springfield. The junior quarterback went 9 of 15 for 165 yards and 5 touchdowns in a 69-0 win over Beaver Creek. Marcus Allen, wide receiver, Northmont. The senior wide receiver pulled down 14 receptions for 224 yards and 3 touchdowns in a 28-27 come-from-behind win to give the Thunderbolts the Greater Western Ohio Conference title over Wayne. Brogan Mackay, quarterback, St. Xavier. The junior quarterback came back after missing last week and had the biggest game of his career. In fact, it was a game to remember. Mackay went 39 of 51 for 556 yards. You heard me right, 556 yards and 5 touchdowns in a 62-37 win over Cleveland St. Ignatius. Liam Clifford, wide receiver, St. Xavier. Bombers quarterback Brogan Mackay had to have someone to catch those balls. Clifford, a senior wide receiver in Penn State pledge, pulled down 12 receptions for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns in the 62-37 win over Cleveland St. Ignatius. Kellen Davis, quarterback, Middletown. The sophomore quarterback went 15 of 18 for 318 yards and 4 touchdowns in the Middies' 33-26 win over Walnut Hills. The win was the first of the season for the Middies after getting a late start. Kamuri Cleveland, quarterback, West Carrollton. The junior quarterback was 12 of 18 for 221 yards and 2 touchdowns, while also rushing for 43 yards and 2 scores in a 35-13 win over Greenville. Drew Novak, quarterback, Western Brown. The sophomore quarterback continues to put up great numbers with an 18 of 30 performance for 279 yards and 4 touchdowns, while also adding a rushing touchdown in a 47-20 win over Batavia. There you have it. The players up for your consideration for First Star Logistics Offensive Player of the Week. We'll be right back for the Defensive Players of the Week after this message from First Star Logistics.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Again, we want to thank First Star Logistics for their support of FirstStarFootballReport.com and for their support of our Players of the Week. Now we're going to move over to defense. Some great performances turned in by several players. And we're going to start with Diego Neri, linebacker, Northwest. The senior linebacker posted 10 total tackles, 7 solo stops, and a 47-10 win over Talawanda. Terrell Banks, linebacker, Colerain. The sophomore linebacker posted 9 total tackles, 7 solos, to go with a forced fumble and fumble recovery in a hard-fought 14-13 win over Hamilton. I apologize if I get this name wrong, but I'm going with Quai Williams, defensive end, Princeton. The senior defensive end posted 10 tackles, 7 solos, to go with 2 sacks in the Vikings' 40-23 win over Fairfield. Aiden Miller, Lakota West. The game that First Star Football Report was at. Very impressed with what Miller did. The junior linebacker posted 11 tackles, 9 solos, to go with a sack in the 21-0 win over Mason. Cameron Jr., linebacker, Middletown. The senior linebacker posted 17 total tackles, 8 solos, in a 33-26 win over Walnut Hills. The win was the first for the Middies this season. Jack Webster, defensive back, Goshen. The two-way player posted 4 solo tackles to go with 2 interceptions and 2 pass breakups in a 24-6 win over New Richmond. Jamison Anderson, defensive back, Fairborn. The senior defensive back posted 6 total tackles, 3 solos, to go with a sack and interception that he returned for 47 yards in a 39-0 win over Vandalia Butler. Kevin Thompson, linebacker, Tippecanoe. The senior linebacker posted 10 tackles, 8 solos, with 2 sacks in a 14-13 win over Xenia. Nasari Burson, linebacker, Schroeder. The senior linebacker posted 16 tackles, 5 solos, and a 14-12 win over Western Hills. Quintarius Jemison, defensive lineman, Norwood. Only a sophomore, Jemison had a big night with a fumble recovery. He returned 43 yards for a score to go with 4 sacks in a 36-30 win over St. Bernard. There you have all the players up for your consideration for our First Star Logistics Offensive and Defensive Players of the Week. Remember, the player who receives the most overall votes will be named the First Star Logistics Player of the Week. Again, before we go, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Help us grow this channel to keep providing you the content that you've been watching. And also remember, to vote, you have to go to FirstStarFootballReport.com.